Hey everyone, my name is Tristan and welcome to my workshop. In my last video, I showed you how to make this Boba Fett armor completely out of EVA foam. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to paint it and how to attach all the pieces together. If this build interests you and you want to follow along, the templates are available over on my Etsy store. If you've seen the build video, you know that it's a pretty easy project to make, which is perfect for any beginner. But now it's time to paint the armor. Let's start by prepping the gauntlets for sealing. To fill any imperfections on them, I'll use this flexible filler by Liquitex. Applying it is super simple. I just use my finger and I smooth it out with water. This type of filler shrinks a little when drying, so you might want to apply 2 coats. After that, you can use sandpaper and sanding sticks to make the surface completely seamless. I start with 120 grit and go up to 220 grits for a super smooth finish. The rest of my armor didn't need any filling. As you can see, I already added Velcro on the back of each piece. To keep paint off those areas, I'll just mask them with cheap masking tape. I found the best way to do it is to apply a big piece of tape and to remove the excess with a craft knife. I also cover the elastic straps at the back of the knee guards. With that done, all the armor pieces are ready for sealing. As for the leather parts, no prepping was required apart from covering the zippers on the boot covers. Every armor piece apart from the forearms needs a patchy texture. To achieve that look, I'll use Flex Seal, but I'll apply it in a specific way. I keep the spray can far away from the armor pieces and I only spray a little bit, pretty unevenly and selectively. I found this to be the easiest technique to get close to the texture Boba Fett's armor has. Now to seal the armor, I'll use Leak Seal because it sprays way smoother than Flex Seal. Also, I found that Grey Leak Seal gives less texture than the black version, so that's what I'm gonna use. Leak Seal is different to Plastidip in its application. You have to apply it in one heavy coat to get the best results possible. It's never going to be as smooth as Plastidip, but for this type of armor it really doesn't matter. After applying one good coat on every piece of the armor, it's time to start painting. I'll do the yellow parts first. That includes the pauldrons and the knee guards. I'll use spray paint for those because yellow paint doesn't cover very well, and using acrylic paint would take at least 5 coats. With spray paint, you want to apply thin coats as evenly as possible to avoid getting drips. It took 3 coats to get complete coverage with this color. And the only reason I used a gloss paint is because that's what I had on hand. You should always use matte paint if you can. For the hand plates, I used black spray paint. It took 2 coats to get complete coverage. As for the green armor parts, I'm gonna use acrylic paint because that's what I used when painting the helmet. I mixed a dark green with black and white to take away some of the saturation. And after a quick test, I got something that matches the helmet pretty well. So now it's just a matter of covering every part with green paint. It took 2 coats to get complete coverage. I taped off a couple areas on the diamond piece and the collar. Those will get painted silver, and I like to use Spastix Mirrorchrome, but any silver paint will do. Just 1 coat will be enough. It's time to weather the pieces, and for that I use brown oil paint because it gives a really realistic greasy look. I apply it selectively in the corners and low spots, and then I wipe off the excess to create a nice feather. That gives a similar look to airbrushing. And you can see the final look is subtle but pretty effective. After doing all the other parts, it's time to create scratches and paint chipping using the same chrome paint as earlier. I use a smaller brush this time and paint some irregular spots on the armor parts to look like paint chips. I also add a couple scratches. For the logos on the armor, I got stickers from Trooper Bay. This one goes on the left chest plate. I should have applied it before weathering the armor because now it looks way too clean. So I quickly add a bit of oil paint on it and that looks great. With all the green parts painted, I use a matte clear coat to protect the paint job and give the parts a nice even finish. I only apply 1 coat, but a pretty thick one. Be careful if you do it this way because it's easy to get drips. Let's move on to the yellow parts. The pauldrons each have a sticker, and let's apply them before weathering. I also painted the little darts on the side of the knee guards silver. After that, it's finally time for the weathering. Just like for the green parts, I start with the oil paint and I apply it selectively in the corners and low spots and remove the excess with a paper towel. Once that's done, I add the paint chips and scratches. Finally, I protect the parts with a nice thick coat of matte clear coat. Let's quickly do the same with the hand plates. First the oil paint, then the silver scratches, and finally the matte clear coat. Moving on to the forearms, I'm also gonna paint them with acrylic paints to match the helmet. I use red and black paint to get a deep dark red. Then it's just a matter of painting the gauntlets, making sure the paint gets into the details and low spots. This took 2 coats. Once the paint was dry, I taped around the details that needed to be black. This includes all the inside details, the buttons, the pad at the front of the left gauntlet, and the rod on the right gauntlet. There's also some silver parts, like the blaster tips on the left gauntlet, the 3 detail panels on the right gauntlet, the 4 little darts, and the 2 couplers. Finally, let's weather the gauntlets, starting with the brown oil paint. After that, I add scratches by dry brushing chrome paint, and I also add the paint chipping effect. After one good layer of clear coat, the gauntlets are all painted. Let's quickly paint the wrist rocket with 2 coats of silver, followed by a bit of black at the back and a coat of clear coat. The cone needs to be gold, but I sprayed that color after the clear coat because that gold spray paint doesn't take a clear coat. Let's move on to the leather pieces, which as you can see got sealed with the same gray leak seal. My goal with the paint job is to match the color from the rope belt, so I mixed together some raw sienna and burnt sienna. Applying the paint is pretty easy, just make sure to get all the details and low spots. Of course you have to paint both the belt and the boots the same color. It took 2 coats to get full coverage. To get a leather look, you have to darken each piece on the perimeter but leave the center as the lighter color. I did it by stippling a dark brown paint and removing the excess with a paper towel. You can use this technique over the seams to make it look like those areas attracted more dirt over time. To really finish off the leather look, mix a lighter color and stipple it in the center of the pieces where you didn't apply the darker paint. This makes the pieces look really old and dried up. With that done, let's seal the paint. I'll start with a good layer of matte clear coat, and after that you can lightly spray a gloss clear coat over a couple spots on your pieces to give a more uneven and natural look. Don't apply too much gloss clear coat or else the pieces will look plasticky and fake. I taped off around the belt buckle and painted it gold to finish the paint job on the leather pieces. With that done, let's get back to the gauntlets. The right gauntlet is supposed to have 3 tubes coming out of it. To make those tubes, I used the same rope as the one on the rope belt. I covered the rope with a cable sleeve to get the right look. On one end of the tubes, they connect together to a piece of Velcro so they can stick inside the back piece. On the other end, I 3D printed some couplers which let me push in a nail so I can fix the tubes directly in the foam gauntlet. You could also make those connectors out of wood or small plastic caps. Now, all that's left to do is to add super glue to the connections and push in the nails. Moving on to the left gauntlet, I need to attach the rocket to the gauntlet. To position the rocket properly, I used sewing pins which I poked through the gauntlet. After that, I pushed the rocket in place over the pins and secured it using hot glue. I left the pins in there for more stability, and that looks great. Now it's time to show how everything attaches together. Let's start with the clothes. The first layer is just a long sleeve turtleneck shirt. Having a turtleneck is crucial to make sure your neck isn't exposed while wearing the helmet. Over the long sleeve shirt, I wear an oversized t-shirt. I hot glued Velcro on the shoulders which let me attach the pauldrons pretty easily. The final layer is a modified hoodie. I removed the hood and sleeves and I removed the material on the sides to make it fit more tightly. I used the material from one of the sleeves to make a raised panel on the chest. No sewing here, just hot glue. The panel has Velcro glued to it, which lets me stick on the armor parts. The back plate has Velcro straps on the top so you can connect it to the collar piece. It also has Velcro strips at the bottom which fit with the ones on the hoodie. And the collar attaches in the front. I can also easily hide the end of the tubes on the right gauntlet by sticking them to Velcro on the back plate. For the gloves, there's Velcro on the back of the hand to stick on the hand plates. I used 2 pairs, one with fingers and one without. The one with fingers should be dark red, but I just used what I already had. As for the belt, there are 2 main parts. The top belt opens and closes thanks to a big sewing snap. And I didn't show it, but the pouches have Velcro to keep them closed. The rope belt has Velcro at the back. I also made a skirt which has Velcro on top. It connects to the Velcro inside the rope belt. As for the pants, I just used black jeans and I didn't modify them at all. Next up, we have the knee guards, which have elastics at the back to keep them securely on my legs. And finally, here are the boots. The boot covers have zippers which you can open to fit your leg through. I also added an elastic at the bottom to keep them better in place. As for the boots, I just used some old leather boots, and the nice thing is the boot covers hide the laces. And here is the whole armor, completely finished. And finally, the armor is completely finished. This project was really fun, and the result is pretty amazing considering how easy it was to make. You might have noticed the EE3 blaster behind me and in the armor reveal. This is actually a cheap toy which I transformed into a pretty nice looking replica. If you want to see how I made it, subscribe because that's gonna happen in the next video. I also might make Boba Fett's jetpack in a future video. But if you want to see more of what I do, things that don't always make it into my videos, you can go follow me on Instagram. All the links will be in the description. For now, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more cool builds like this one. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.